guys, welcome back to StarrSoap's channel. How are you today? I'm doing good. My name's Crystal Starr, in case you didn't know me. I'm the StarrSoaper here at StarrSoaps. I make all the soap, I make all these videos that you watch. It's all on me. So if you'd like to order some of these beautiful products, then please send me an email at starrsoaps@gmail.com and we'll make a soap deal. Let's make a soap deal. So today I'm going to be having a little bit of fun and experimenting. That's right. And I could go ahead and tell you right now that this was all planned, but that would be a fib. This was an accidental experiment, which they're the best, don't you think? So I was planning to make a batch of my lovely liquid soap. I had read that if you make a brine solution instead of using regular distilled water when you make the lye solution for your liquid soap, that you will actually speed the whole process up because it can take quite a while to come to trace when you're making a liquid soap paste. So I thought, hey, I'll give this a shot. I've got salt and I'll give it a shot. Let's see if this works out better. I didn't have a whole lot of glycerin, which is another way that you can speed it up. But I thought I will try the salt method out. And I misread how you make brine solution. Blonde moment. I actually thought that it was 4 cups of salt to 1 cup of water, when in fact it is 1 cup of salt to 4 cups of water. So what I ended up making, what you're about to watch, is an accidental cream soap. That's right. I contacted a really good friend of mine who's also very knowledgeable in liquid soap, and she told me to try to put it into molds and leave it and see if it sets hard. That didn't happen. She basically explained to me that hard soap is made with sodium hydroxide, where liquid soap is made with potassium hydroxide. And even though I used potassium hydroxide, I also saturated my mixture with sodium chloride, salt. I know, we're getting a little bit sciencey, but hey, that is part of soap making. It is alchemy after all. So in essence, I have made a cream soap. It is lovely. It rinses clean really well because of that high salt content, so it doesn't sort of have that. Sometimes you find with some different soaps that it's hard to rinse them off. This doesn't have that. It's really neat. It comes right off. And yeah, it's just really, really cool and totally accidental. And yeah, I want you guys to check it out. I like to show you everything I do, even if sometimes things work a little bit differently than how I planned, and this is one of those times. So come along with me and I'll show you how I made accidental cream StarrSoap. Squee! So first things first, we've got our oils in the crock pot and the crock pot on high to melt them. And we've got our jug and we're going to make up some lye solution. But like I said in the introduction, we're not just going to use regular water. We're going to try to make brine. And we're going to get the ratio wrong. Whoops. Once again, Crystal Starr shows you what not to do. But it's a happy accident and it turns out really fun in the end. So that's why I decided, instead of just throwing all this footage away, to put it together into a video and show you guys what happened when I tried to make brine using 4 cups of salt to 1 cup of water instead of 1 cup of salt to 4 cups of water. My first tip should have possibly been when the salt wasn't dissolving into the water that well. But hey, I went ahead and I just did it anyway. Salt, yes! So I mix my salt into my water as best I can. And most of it dissolves, but a good chunk of it stays on the bottom. And that's not exactly what you want. Then I add my potassium hydroxide flakes into the mix and I mix it all together to make myself a brine lye solution. So the idea behind this is that if you use brine water, proper brine water, it actually will speed up trace, and that can be quite a good thing, as you're about to see, because trying to bring liquid soap to trace can be very difficult. It takes a really long time, and if you have a older stick blender like I do, you have to keep taking breaks, and I did. I had to keep taking breaks and letting it cool down because I didn't want to overheat it. So I'm adding my potassium hydroxide into the jug while it's on the scale so that I can measure out the right amount. And now I can put my scale away and I can mix my lye and salt solution together. I am a little bit sort of nervous as I'm stirring, noticing that there's still a lot of undissolved salt in there, and I'm sort of thinking this can't be right, but I'm also hoping that maybe the potassium hydroxide will heat up the water and that the warm water will actually melt the salt and it will all dissolve and it will all work out. I have to give myself like pats on the back for just sticking to it and having faith. I'm always surprised by soap and how things turn out. It's not exactly how I plan every single time, but I am always pretty amazed how even soaps that I think are going to have to go in the rubbish can be fixed or rebatched, and I really recommend you should never throw anything out. You always learn so much from your mistakes as well. So we're back a little bit later and my coconut oil is starting to melt, so that's a good sign. Back again a little bit later and the coconut oil is completely melted and the oils are all lovely, the lye is all lovely, and it's time to add it. Of course I don't have to worry about letting the lye cool down because this is at such a hot temperature in the crock pot. I decide to get my stick blender out and try to stick blend my mixture before adding it in hopes that I will actually get that salt to mix through because it was really much sitting on the bottom. And when I try to pour it through my sieve, I noticed how much salt there is undissolved and it's all kind of hanging out in the sieve and I don't really know what to do. At this point I'm still thinking that I need that much salt in my recipe. So I mix it and then I just give up and scrape the whole lot into the mixture. So we're talking 4 cups of salt. That's a lot of salt, guys. I really didn't think, but I also have never done this before and I just kind of thought, chuck it in there, let's see what happens. So now it is time to start the very long process of bringing this to trace. When you do this with cold processed soap, it happens so fast and it just comes to trace, and usually we try not to mix very much because we don't want to over mix it and have it go super thick on us. This is the other way around. You are mixing and mixing for a long time before you get to a point where it actually starts to get thick and become like a pudding kind of a consistency. So for me, because it was taking me so long, it literally took me from about midday when I started doing it all the way up till dinner time at about 7 p.m. before it had even come to trace, that when I did finally get it to come to trace, I was just so fed up with the whole thing that I stuck the lid on it, turned it off and walked away and left it overnight. When I came back the next day, I was kind of thinking I might be able to turn it back on and I might be able to continue trying to get it to a translucent stage and go through the rest of the stages that you would with liquid soap paste. But when I came back the next day, it was so crumbly, and that was when I transferred it into a bowl, and then I contacted my friend who is a really good liquid soap maker and asked her, what do I do? And she told me to put it into molds, so I did, and I left it in molds for months and it did not set up hard, so that was kind of crazy. This is me showing you an example of me letting the stick blender rest and cool down before coming back and working at it again. This process took forever. starting to come to a kind of a milky, creamy place now. That is really encouraging, but all of those air bubbles that are forming, that is also a bad sign. Like, it shouldn't be doing that, and I'm kind of looking at it thinking I definitely did something wrong, but I'm not sure what. I'm trying to spritz it with rubbing alcohol and break those bubbles and bring them down, and I just keep on blending and mixing and hoping that it will come to trace. I'm kind of like scratching my head because I know that whenever you overthink things, that's when they go wrong. And in this case, it wasn't until I went back and checked my notes that I've realized the mistake I had made when I mixed that brine solution and I added the wrong numbers. It should have been 1 cup of salt, not 4 cups of salt. Grr. But hey, this is it, man, living and learning. So I keep mixing it, and I'm going to have another break and then come back again because this is taking forever. And when I come back, it is actually finally coming to a consistency. This is a really good sign. It has finally come to trace and it is at this sort of pudding stage. The idea is that now, if you can, you should keep mixing it and bring it to like a mashed potato, like really, really chunky thick, literally until your mixer can't mix anymore. And then you would put the lid on and leave the heat on and go away, and you would come back once it looked really translucent, and you might break up the clumps then to sort of mix them around to make sure the heat's getting to all the soap paste evenly. Leave it for a bit longer, make sure it is completely like at that Vaseline stage, and then you want to do a little clarity test where you'll take a little pinch of your soap dough and you will your liquid soap dough paste, liquid soap paste, get the words right, Crystal, and you'll dilute it in a little bit of water, and if that water is clear, then you know you're good to move ahead. This soap is definitely not coming to that really, really thick, chunky stage, and I'm not really sure what's gone wrong. I'm still like in the dark about the salt thing. It's so funny looking back. I wish I could call out to myself and say, hey Crystal, you added too much salt. It's never going to get there. But liquid soap and hot process soap making in general are always something that I always feel a little bit daunted by. I know I can do it, but I'm always a little bit like, eh. And if you go into things doubting yourself, then it's not going to set you up for a win. And in this case, I do feel like my final product is really beautiful. I've never actually made proper dual lye cream soap before, even though I do have all the ingredients, I can do it. Mostly because I didn't want to wait for the months and months for it to sequester before you can come back and whip it and then actually use it. This stuff, because I was trying to let it set hard into little bars, it basically sequestered in my silicone mold in the hot water cupboard for, you know, a couple of months, and then I gave up and I dumped them all into this bowl. Then this is what I have. I have this very dry, crumbly sort of soap stuff. It's not, you know, by any means it's not cream soap, and this is what I showed to my friend, and I was like, what do I do with this? And she did suggest trying to sort of compact it and press it and try to let it dry out further, and maybe it would turn into a hard soap, but that was not going to happen. So I took some liquid soap that I made in another batch, and that video will be coming at you guys soon, and I added about, say, 70% of this crumbly stuff to about 30% of my liquid soap, my pre-made liquid soap, and then I beat it and mixed it until it was a whipped cream texture, and then I was able to pipe it into jars, and it made a beautiful, beautiful cream soap that rinses cleanly and just is really, really stunning stuff. So that's a happy accident. Here is a little short video of me using my ancient mixer and mixing a little tiny bit of it. This was just a little bit that I did to test out to see if my theory would work, and when it did, I went ahead and did a whole bunch more. This mixer is probably, I mean, I don't even know how old. It's probably like 100 years old. It's really, really old mixer, but it still goes. So I'm just cranking it, and I'm just trying to show you you know, how it looks as it's getting whipped up. It didn't take very long for it to mix to a point where there were no lumps, and I just add pumps of the liquid soap until I felt like I got to the consistency that I was happy with. And once I got there, I was able to put it all into a piping bag and pipe it out into a jar, and you're about to see that as well. Yeah, so that is 100% cream soap. Like, that is cream soap. You can't argue with that. It's really cool. I took a little bit of it and I coloured it pink and scented it in candy floss for my daughter and put it into a little container. So that's what you've got here. This is the pink soap dough and cream soap. I can't even say the right thing. Pink cream soap that I made for Alexis. And this soap is kind of tacky. It is kind of like cotton candy, which is why I scented it in cotton candy. And then once you start rubbing it, it very much takes on that cream consistency, and you can spread it almost like lotion, and then you can also lather up really well with it and it gets nice big bubbles. This is the white stuff with no colorant added to it at all, and I just added a little bit of kumquat fragrance, so this one's for me. Really fruity and really delicious. I don't really smell salt in it, but like I was trying to say in the beginning, it definitely rinses really clean off your skin really quickly, and I attribute that to the high level of salt in there. Ultimately, this made a really nice soap, and I'm pretty impressed. So thank you so much, guys, for watching me and my accidental cream soap journey. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this product as much as I enjoyed the learning. And if you did, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below, become a member of the StarrSoaps family, and feel the soapy love. See you next time.